Thank you, Len. Good afternoon. I'm Mark Grossman, National Head of the Corporate Practice at Cadamuchin Roseman LLP. I have the honor today of presenting the ACG Lifetime Achievement Award to a man who truly needs no introduction, former Chicago Mayor Richard M. Daley. His accomplishments are evident in almost every aspect of the world-class city Chicago is today. In fact, I could spend hours reciting his numerous achievements, but his legacy is evident. All of you who are visiting or who live in this great city can see thriving business, abundant arts and culture, iconic architecture. If you haven't had the chance to visit the world-renowned Millennium Park, a gleaming garden and concert pavilion built over old railroad tracks, it is a must-see. Now that's vision, and just one example of the former mayor's gift for growing a bold idea into reality. The ACG Lifetime Achievement Award has been bestowed upon 10 other corporate, private equity, and community leaders who are Chicago's most important business people, but also those who have changed the world through their bold, effective leadership. Richard Daley certainly fits that description. He improved Chicago's quality of life by lifting schools to a level of success that continues to catch the eye of young professionals now willing to enroll their children in city schools and call Chicago their home. Under his leadership, Chicago became one of the most environmentally friendly cities in the world. Prestigious corporations such as Boeing Company and Miller Coors decided to base their operations here. And the fruits of Richard Daley's vision continue. Just last week came the announcement of another new runway at O'Hare International Airport, a project the former mayor started over a decade ago under the O'Hare Modernization Program, one of the largest construction projects in the country. After almost 40 years of public service as a state senator, then as Cook County State's Attorney, before 22 years as the longest serving mayor in this great city's history, he is now of counsel and an integral part of our international law firm, Cadamuchin Roseman LLP. It is an honor for me to now present this ACG Lifetime Achievement Award to someone I am really very proud to call my colleague. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a hugely accomplished leader, a true visionary, and of course, Chicago's #1 White Sox fan, Richard M. Daley. I'll hold it from here. Let's do a photo op.
All righty. Thank you very much, Mark and Craig Miller, ACG, for this wonderful award, not just on behalf of myself, but my entire family. I welcome you to Chicago. I'm born and raised here. I came from a wonderful family with 3 brothers and 3 sisters. I just lived about 10 blocks just south and a few blocks west of here. And we came from a very working community that pressed to me as a family that my father said, I'll give you moral values, I will give you a great name, the most important thing, I'll give you an education. And my father's mayor for 21 years. He dedicated his life to public service. So I had the privilege of going into public service. And when I decided to go into public service after graduating from law school and being a successful lawyer, and I decided to go into public life. And my father said, remember, you'll become a public servant. You have trust in that word. And if you ever become jealous of people successful in life, just leave, because you have the background, you have the ability to do anything you want. So you select what you want to do in life, and I did go into public service. And it's different today, public service, and what we see in Washington. My generation was a public servant. I was never a political servant to either party or to philosophy. My philosophy was, once you get elected to office, you represent all the people, not just who voted for you, but those who voted for your opponent and those who didn't vote. And being accomplished, you be an accomplished public servant. I think that's important. And what we see, and there's a frustration, is identity of political philosophy in a party system in Washington, where mayors are getting elected nonpartisan different ways. They know they have to get the job done. And mayors have to make decisions. And sometimes decisions are popular or unpopular, but you want someone to make a decision. And so for 22 years as mayor, my philosophy in management was that I give you the tools necessary, the people under me. You have to make a decision. Remember, you're going to make a mistake. Those who make a mistake, how quickly you understand that and correct it. But those who make a decision without talking to anyone in the office made a monumental mistake. Now, there is a problem. That's just bad judgment. And so you cannot micromanage government. You have to be able to believe in your people. And becoming mayor in 1989, the city was really divided in a racial division under politics. Become very, very racial. We're called Beirut on the Lake. And once I ran in 1988, I'll show you this story, I got 95% of the African American vote. I ran for mayor in 1989, a year later, against a good friend of mine, Tim Evans, who's now is the chief judge, African American, very good friend of mine and our families. We ran for the office. I got 9% of the black vote, African American vote. 2 years later, I got 40%. After that, I received from 55 to 70, 80%. Because I knew my constituents, my customers, that if I didn't build my base, that I would not be a mayor for the whole city. It's like what Leonard talked about, what he's offering here in his presentation, a variety of things for mid-sized business and expansion and technology and other things. And so that's what you have to do as mayor. You can't worry about your base. In American politics is all about the base. It's not growing your customers or constituents. And that's really a failure in American politics. So as mayor in 1989, you had to bring the racial division together. So I had to really campaign every day in regards to that. But what I did is every Saturday went out to churches and community groups and block clubs, understanding what they want me to be as compared to the first African mayor in Chicago was Harold Washington, what they wanted from me and how they're going to judge me differently as mayor. So that was important to bring the city together because you have a divided city, rich and poor, black and white, Hispanic, Asian. It's not for the city in the long run, especially for the business community. So that was the highest priority. And secondly was basically service for the people of the city. Then in turn, I knew I had to take over responsibility for public schools. So by 1995, I took over responsibility. I took the management. I hate to say it, trustee in bankruptcy, the philosophy, went to Springfield, did a trustee in bankruptcy, appointed the board, appointed the head of the education system, operations, and a senior advisor. The board was selected from the mayor continually today. So under a trusteeship, we could close schools, we could fire people, but in taking that over, I never blamed anyone. I didn't blame the teachers, didn't blame the students. We have responsibility, let's all work together. And today, it's still an uphill fight, but we know that the greatest thing you can give to a child in America is a quality education. You give that, our country is set for life. So education was a priority. And at the same time, you accept criticism, but you don't allow criticism to direct your vision or your decision making. If you do, then you're dependent upon pollsters and dependent upon everybody else telling you what to do instead of what you believe in and the people around you and believing what you can do. So it's very pro-business because business really has built Chicago up. So it's a public-private partnership. And that's what we need today in every city in America on infrastructure. Dealing with Washington on infrastructure, and infrastructure is just not a highway. It's basically environmental issues. It's basically dealing with logistics in America. How well we can compete in a global economy, America has to. So I firmly believe that infrastructure was important, that the public and private sector. So as the first mayor to lease things, a lot of infrastructure to be leased out. We made money, long, short-term investment funds, basically hard infrastructure, and also social services so people could feel when you lease something that's going to change their lives. And to me, that is extremely important. Today, the federal government, I'm always complimentary to every president. It's a very difficult job. So when I talk about the federal government, it's not against a individual, because I had the privilege of working with George W. Bush, Clinton, Obama, and George W. Bush's father. And they're all great people, and very hardworking presidents, and very difficult issues. But you never, ever allow your board of directors to run a government or not-for-profit or business. Today, Washington, D.C. is run by a board of directors. It's called Congress. So just think, if any of your companies had your board of directors meeting every day in your corporate headquarters, every one of your senior officials would be dealing with your board of directors. And we don't realize that, how much time the executive branch pays attention to the basically board of directors. And that includes Democrat or Republican. Until we allow the executive branch to make the decisions and make the appointments and live by those decisions, we'll have a better America and a better federal government. I firmly believe that. And today what we have is a breakdown of understanding that Washington doesn't have all the answers. Business community has the answers, not-for-profit, mayors, governors, doesn't matter what political party you're from, you have the answers. So my key was always working on Saturday, because my customers worked all during the week. And on Saturday, the Outpool Block Club, Little League, softball, they'd be out with their children. There'd be parades, there'd be groups dealing with gangs, guns, and drugs. That's when you meet the best people of any city who are volunteering and working continually on behalf of their own community or their block. And so that, to me, we have to have more younger people participate in government. I know people are upset with a lot of things in Washington, what's going on, but we don't have another generation of young people coming in, and not just with one philosophy or one issue, but look at America Strong. And I had the privilege of working for the firm of Catton. We opened an office in Shanghai. I spent about 2 months a year in China, and a couple of weeks in Russia. From my viewpoint, America's the envy of the world. Just here, what you see here in this audience, and what you've done individually and collectively. And to me, they all respect and admire. It's amazing. And they all love America. The greatest asset we have is our children, all the young people of America, to make the world differently. The world is an asset. It's not a liability. And the things we did last century to sacrifice for the world, it's about time that we give to the world what we give the best advice, the best educated young people, to deal with issues that we can only deal with and the rest of the world can't deal with. And that's how I view this country, not of Democrats, not of Republicans, not of one issue or that issue, is a country that's whole, that looks at the world as an asset and what we can do. And from my viewpoint, that's what my father taught me. My father taught me public service is a public service. You're not a political servant. Until we get over that, both Democrats and Republicans will be stuck in this maze far too long that we as a country do not deserve it. The people of America deserve the world to be an opportunity of our younger people, an opportunity overseas and within here to welcome investments, an opportunity to create jobs there, an opportunity to build a better world. And that's what you do on a daily basis in the financial area. You do that continually for America and even the world. And so I accept this wonderful lifetime achievement, but I thank many people that allowed me to become a public servant and allowed me to give to me, especially my mother and father, my family, the background and understanding what public service is all about. I'm very proud to be in private service. I enjoy it, leaving public life. And from my viewpoint, America should be proud of the business community that we see continually to make a difference in our country and the world. Thank you very much.